What's up, everyone? Alex here with Off the Cuff Reviews. I am back again to bring you guys a special new video. This time we're going to be talking about Charlie Kaufman's new film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. So let's get into it. First off, there is a lot to unpack here. There are so many different working elements to this film that we have to go over. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, so you guys don't have to fast forward through anything. I'm not going to give you guys any real details, but what I will say is the synopsis is a man and a woman who are going to meet their in-laws, basically, or, eventually. They just go to meet their parents, and things start to unravel, and reality doesn't seem so real anymore. Let's break this down. So, this film, I think, tore audiences apart. You either love this film or you hate this film, and I am here to tell you guys why. First things first. This is based on a novel of the same name, and it is... See, a lot of people say you should read the book before you see the movie, or maybe sometimes it doesn't matter. In this specific case, I would say read the book first. Now, I went into this completely blind, didn't know that it was a book, barely watched any trailers. I think I watched like a couple seconds of one trailer for this movie, and I didn't actually read into it, but I thought it was interesting. Just like on the surface, it seemed interesting. I also love Toni Collette, which she's in this. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's check this out. And also Charlie Kaufman's fucking brilliant. So obviously I'm going to go check this movie out. While watching this, I became more and more confused. Now, I had a theory going in my head of what was happening, but the film never really tells you. It never really wraps up. It just kind of ends. And you're kind of left wondering what actually what did you actually just watch? But here is the kicker. Since it's based on a book, we kind of know what it's about, what kind of message it's trying to send, what kind of story this is. You can look to the book for those answers, which a lot of people did. And then they posted, synopsis of the book, what's different, what's the same. And they all kind of landed on the same topics. See, I didn't read this book. I'll be honest, I did not read the book. But I read enough about it to know that that the filmmakers, Charlie Kaufman and whoever else put this movie together, they left out key context that are integral to the story, integral to the plot, which is why you're so confused, which is why I'm so confused. So I totally understand if you by the end of this film you don't like it, you hate it because you don't understand it, because they left out key parts of the actual context of the story. And you're supposed to just piece that together. It feels like it's more of an homage, like a love letter to the actual book itself, rather than its own singular adaptation, even though Charlie Kaufman kind of added his own elements and kind of made it a little bit more abstract than the book. But I still feel like the whole concept could have been done just a little bit more smoothly. There were scenes that were way too long where they added extra messages in those certain scenes that took away from the overall message of the film. So by the end, you're like, was I supposed to care about that, or was I supposed to care about this? And it doesn't have a clear... It has a clear message to send, but it doesn't do it in a clear way, if that makes sense. And you need those context clues that they left out to understand what I'm trying to say. So I would recommend reading the book before watching the movie, although they do add a lot of clues to where you can piece together your own theory where you don't need to read the book, and it could still be like a standalone film if you choose to view it that way. So I do understand why people love this movie. Some people read the book first and love it. Some people didn't read the book first and love it. Some people read the book first and hated it. Some people, just whatever. They didn't read the book and they still hated it. I didn't read the book. And at first, I hated it. I wasn't really sure. Like, I actually wasn't sure. Like, I was watching this with my friend Ashley. I messaged her, and I said, hey, I was like, hey, like, I'm not sure if I love this or I hate it, to be honest with you, because I don't understand. And she's over there bawling her eyes out. And, like, I'm thinking, like, well, I don't get it. Like, why am I supposed to have that visceral, emotional reaction to this when I don't understand what's happening? But then, on a second rewatch, as well as, just reading more about the whole story, I came to the conclusion that I kind of do understand why people do love it. I think that, it's very emotional, and it tells a really sad film that it tells a really sad story that you can connect to. It really hones in on certain emotions that you might be feeling in that certain moment, and it has really like existential messages that you might be wondering yourself, and it tries to go down that route, even though it's an abstract film and it has a whole bunch of different elements to it. There are still questions that Charlie Kaufman is trying to ask and answer, and he's trying to dive deep into the story and grab its like his own personal elements, and shine them through with the actual film itself, rather than just make like a by the book, no pun intended, by the book film adaptation. You know what I mean? Like it's more like he's trying to send his own personal messages, his own personal questions that he has about the universe, and he's trying to answer them with us, which I really commend. I think the whole film is incredible. The cinematography is great. The performances are great, especially when there are long monologues, like in the car, and when they're in the car and they're talking, they're reading direct lines from the book. You really get attached to those characters, and they're really emotional and real. And that goes to show how good the performances really are. Toni Collette is amazing as well, even though she kind of has I wouldn't say a background role, but she's not like the main star of this movie. She does kind of have like a secondary role, even though her scenes are one of the scenes that I'm talking about where it's too long. And that's, you'll know what I mean when you watch it. It feels like it's distracting to the rest of the film and the rest of the message that the film is trying to send. But you guys will understand once you watch the movie. I really do appreciate Kaufman's way of, making this story mainstream, but also not mainstream. I feel like anybody could watch this movie and come away with a certain reaction, and they are not necessarily wrong. Some people might watch this and they might hate it. Some people might watch this and they might love it, regardless of whether they're an avid film watcher or not. Like, I know a lot of people that don't watch a lot of films. They might watch this and hate it, but they might watch it and love it. You never really know. But neither of those opinions are wrong, in my opinion. I think that you can see this movie either way. You can either hate it or you can love it. I haven't really seen many people be lukewarm to this movie. It seems like they either like really disliked it or they really liked it. And I can see why, because I'm playing both cards here. I know why you don't like it, but I also know why you do like it. Because when you take a step back and you look at the movie as a whole, the elements that I'm nitpicking about really don't matter. They really don't matter. And that might be the whole point of the movie. Some people pointed out that they might have done this on purpose, like where they left out certain context clues to show how bad of a writer that the main character is, because it's a narrative told from their perspective, I guess. And you'll see what I mean when you watch the movie. It's kind of confusing, like I'm saying. Like, you might be confused, but it will kind of draw you in. There are clues throughout the movie. Even if you don't get it on a first watch, you probably will get it on a second watch. There are definitely clues throughout the movie that lead to the ending. And another thing that I really loved that Kaufman did was he included the song from Oklahoma. And I really enjoyed the fact that because apparently from the book, you kind of have to already know what Oklahoma is. Like, I didn't know what Oklahoma was, like, when I went into watching this movie, but by the end, I kind of understood, and I'm glad that they put that perspective at the end there and scattered throughout the movie. Like, you kind of get that reaction, and you understand the actual point of having that in the movie. And I don't know, I really do appreciate Kaufman for doing that, for adding that, especially for people who don't know what Oklahoma is and don't, like, that may not understand, like me, who may not understand that reference. It's cool that he actually added that element to the movie so you can kind of understand. Even though I did see a lot of people nitpicking at that part specifically, I enjoyed that part because it clued me in on the references that they were making, regardless of whether I knew the reference or not. But with all of that said, I'm actually not going to give this film a rating on this video. I did rate it on Letterboxd, but that is just kind of like my direct feeling in the moment kind of thing. I don't want to give an actual rating to this because I did just talk about why you could hate it, but you could love it. And I want you, the viewer, to really draw your own opinion. I want you to watch it and tell me what you think about it, because I think that the film, it will tear audiences apart. I just don't see how you could be lukewarm to this movie. It's either going to draw you in and it's really going to leave an impact on you, or it's not. And that's it. That there's no in between there, because the movie is so abstract because of Kaufman's storytelling and visual storytelling that you really need to pay attention. And I don't know. I think you guys might like it, but who knows? If you did like this video, though, please drop a like, drop a comment, and let me know. Subscribe or tell your friends. And I do have a Patreon launching very shortly, so keep your eyes out. Maybe it's going to be announced in the next video or so. I will see you guys on the flip side. Stay safe.